We hear so much about fasting these days, how it's this powerful tool for our health. But when it comes to cancer, things get way more complicated. Is it possible that the very same process that protects our healthy cells could also end up shielding a tumor? Today, we're diving deep into that fascinating paradox, when fasting helps and when it might actually hurt.
So, at the heart of this whole story is a process called autophagy. Now, it literally means self-eating, which I know sounds pretty dramatic, but it's actually a totally fundamental process that keeps our bodies running cleanly. Honestly, the best way to picture autophagy is to think of it like your body's internal housekeeping service. It's always on, constantly tidying up, breaking down old or damaged parts of your cells, and then recycling them for energy or for new building blocks. It's a brilliant quality control system. And hey, this isn't some fringe idea we're talking about. The discovery of how autophagy actually works was so critical to understanding our own bodies that it won the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine back in 2016. That's how important this cellular cleanup crew really is.
So a process that cleans up cellular junk and prevents damage, you'd think it would be the undisputed hero in the fight against cancer, right? Well, this is where the story takes a turn, and the paradox really starts to unfold.
So, what happens when this incredible quality control system, our heroic housekeeper, gets co-opted? What if instead of just cleaning up your healthy cells, it starts working to protect and sustain the very cancer cells you're trying to get rid of?
And that leads us to the crucial point, which is captured perfectly by the scientific community. When it comes to cancer, autophagy is a double-edged sword. In healthy tissue, yeah, it suppresses tumors. But once a tumor is already there, established, autophagy can actually help it survive. That's the entire paradox in a nutshell.
Okay, so to really get our heads around this, let's break down these two totally opposite roles. How can one single biological process be both a guardian and an enabler? Well, it all comes down to context. So here you can see the two faces of autophagy, right next to each other. As the guardian in your healthy cells, it's your first line of defense. It's busy removing damaged stuff that could lead to cancerous mutations. But then, as the enabler, it plays a shockingly different part. Inside a tumor, where it's a harsh environment with low oxygen and nutrients, the cancer cells actually hijack autophagy to recycle their own parts just to stay alive. And even worse, it helps them resist treatments like chemotherapy.
Now, hearing all that, you're probably thinking, wait a minute, fasting triggers autophagy, so that must be a terrible idea for a cancer patient, right? But here's the twist. Scientists have found an incredibly clever way to turn this paradox into a powerful strategy. It's not about avoiding autophagy, it's about timing it perfectly.
The strategy is called Differential Stress Resistance, or DSR for short, and the core idea is pretty amazing. Healthy cells and cancer cells respond to the stress of fasting in completely different ways. You can think of fasting like a protective shield for your normal cells, while at the same time, it leaves cancer cells totally exposed and weak.
Okay, so here's how this DSR strategy actually plays out. First, a patient fasts for a short time right before their chemo treatment. In response, their healthy cells go into this protected resource-conserving mode. But cancer cells, they can't do that. The very genetic mutations that make them cancer drive them to grow, grow, grow. They can't hit the brakes and go into that safe mode. They just keep their foot on the gas. This makes them incredibly vulnerable. So, when the chemo is given, it hits the exposed cancer cells much harder, while doing less damage to all the shielded, healthy cells.
So you see, this whole double-edged sword thing, it doesn't have to be a liability. If we're smart about it, we can learn how to wield it, pointing the sharp edge right at the tumor while using the flat of the blade to defend our healthy tissue.
All right, so let's boil this all down. What are the big things to remember here? First, and this is the most important part, fasting's effect on cancer is all about context. It's not a simple yes or no. While autophagy is a huge help in healthy bodies for preventing cancer, it can actually help an existing tumor survive. That means the goal here isn't to starve cancer. The real goal is to create that crucial differential stress resistance, making treatments like chemo more effective and a lot less toxic.
And this really leaves us with a truly profound question, doesn't it? As we learn more about this incredible dance between our metabolism and disease, it makes you wonder, could the future of cancer treatment depend not just on the amazing drugs we develop, but also on something as fundamental as when we choose not to eat?